As you probably know, I'm a big fan of reverse aging and enjoying all the associated benefits that come with that. When we talk about turning back the body clock, it means dialing back the biological markers associated with aging, as well as reversing the risk factors like lifestyle diseases that can impact the quality of our lives and potentially turn deadly later. One of those is carrying around the excess weight, which is a huge risk factor that leads to metabolic dysfunction, which in turn can lead to type 2 diabetes, further causing a cascade of health problems, premature aging, massive medical bills, burning a hole in your pocket, loss of productivity, and unfortunately not living out your lifespan that you could have had this been addressed early on. Plus, being overweight is not really aesthetic, is it? I mean, it affects our confidence and the way we show up in the world. I know this firsthand as I've been there. But let's first get the nomenclature right. When we talk about weight loss, we're essentially referring to releasing the excess fat from our bodies for both health and aesthetic reasons. Over time, our association with fat has become so negative that it's almost a cuss word. So I want to talk a bit about that. You see, we're made of fat. Did you know that female breasts are 90% fat? Male testosterone is primarily made of fat. Our brain, again, mostly fat cells. The fact that we can sit down comfortably without our bones rubbing against each other is because of fat. It even insulates us from cold. We've got to realize that fat is critical for survival. So the question we should be asking ourselves is what part of fat to let go of and what part to accept and honor that it serves a function. I'll give you a personal example of this disconnect. You see this? I lost my hair because I did not understand this symbiotic relationship. 2 decades ago, my relationship with fat was so messed up that I gave up all forms of fat. Add to that, I was super active, used to play sports for a couple of hours every day, and then even hit the gym after that. Those were my student days, so even the mental activity was high. I learned much later that this is a very, very bad combination. Very low good fat consumption along with very high physical and mental activity. This can lead to hormonal imbalances. Yes, men have hormones too. And poor nutrient absorption, specifically the fat-soluble vitamins, because of which I lost my hair. Thank God I didn't continue on that path, as it could have led to a serious decline in my cognitive abilities and overall well-being. Just like we have messed up connection with fat, same goes with the word diet. Now, diet is simply the range of food we eat with regards to different cultural patterns of eating. But today, the term has come to be associated with something restrictive as a method for losing weight. See, diet comes from the Greek word dieta, which means a way of life, encompassing physical and mental health rather than a narrow weight loss regimen. For many people today, it means following a specific meal plan to lose weight. Taking this further, what we eat is broken down into what we call macros and micronutrients. The 3 macros are carbs, short for carbohydrates. They break down into energy or glucose, proteins, they help in building and repair functions, and fat or fatty acids. Your brain won't function without them. How quickly we decide something depends on how fast or slow fat moves in our body. For these macronutrient absorption, we need micronutrients, which are vitamins and minerals, which the body requires in far less quantities than the macros. So what's the problem with diets as we know them today? Number 1, calorie restriction, reducing overall consumption of the macronutrients. We don't eat to nourish and for satisfaction, but start measuring the overall quantity and calories. So the body begins to use the fat in place of the big 3 macros. And the moment you go back, since the body knows it can't work like that, body puts back what it lost and more. Second, time restriction, which is in fancy parlance today, we call it intermittent fasting. Looking at the watch instead of listening to your body. Declaring one of the macros as a hero, that's the third one. And when we declare one of the macros as a hero, and if there's a hero, there has to be a villain. For example, in all the trendy diets today, we all know the hero with the K, protein man, and the villain, you got it, carbs. In some diets, fat is all the rage. So we end up pumping one type of food over another. What we don't realize is that the body can't do without the others. So how does it cope up? By breaking down the fat. But do you think it will do that in the long term? No freaking way. And that's why it is unsustainable. That is why we have side effects. The question to be asked here is my diet nurturing, free-flowing, enjoyable, something I look forward to, or is it restrictive, repetitive, not enjoyable, and you're eating for the sake of fueling yourself? Because that would defeat the very purpose of nature coming up with such an ingenious and delicious way of giving us energy. The point is not to spoil your relationship with food. Remember that food is food, not a diet. It's for function and taste. It nourishes every part of your body and all your senses.